Good afternoon, everyone, and happy COS. My name is Michaela Pash, and I'm currently a junior music education major here at Concordia. And I'm really excited today to share with you about my research that I've done this past semester on El Sistema, which is a social program in Venezuela focusing on music education. So, how did I end up here? That's a great question. This past semester, I've had the opportunity to work alongside some of my peers in an independent study with Dr. Shauna Pickens, and it is focusing on social justice in the music classroom, which is something that I am very passionate about and wanted to learn more and really dive deep into that topic. Because I think it's really important, and I've wanted to spend lots of time thinking about that for my future classroom. And in our first reading for the class, it was a portion of a book by Trisha Turnstall that was focusing on El Sistema. And it was talking a lot about the philosophy behind El Sistema, and I began to be very, very interested because in my past, during one of my first semester classes, I was asked to write a music education philosophy statement for myself. And there were a lot of similarities between what I wrote in my philosophy statement and the philosophy of El Sistema. So I became very interested and wanted to see what El Sistema looked like, to see if there was something that I could take away and incorporate into my future classroom. So before I explain a little bit more about what El Sistema is and how it looks, I'd like to play for you this video. It's a trailer to a movie about El Sistema.
Nosotros, a pesar que vivimos en un barrio humilde, que hay inseguridad, nosotros a pesar no han dado educación. Hay muchas personas que dicen, él vive en un barrio y no le han dado educación.
Era el primer día de la orquesta de cámara, entonces yo venía temprano y me dijeron, me dieron un disparo en la pierna y no pude ir. Entonces yo llorando porque no me dolía la pierna, pero más me dolía que no iba a estar aquí el día ese en la orquesta de cámara. Y se le olvida, cuando uno llega aquí se le olvida todo.
El profesor nos dice, toquen pero con su corazón, no con la mente, con el corazón.
En Venezuela, nosotros estamos en este momento trabajando para un universo de beneficiarios que se calcula en 265.000 jóvenes y niños. Pero esto es apenas el comienzo.
Nosotros estamos aprendiendo a tocar trompeta como para sacar nuestra familia adelante. Estamos para adelante como el elefante.
La raíz para mí del problema social está en la exclusión. Entonces nosotros tenemos que luchar por incluir el mayor número, todos si es posible, incluirlos en este mundo bello, ¿verdad? Que es nuestro mundo de la música, de la orquesta, del canto, ¿verdad? Del arte.
was talking in that video was actually the founder of El Sistema, um, Jose Antonio Abreu. He founded El Sistema in 1975. He was an economist, an educator, a musician, and an activist. And he believed, as I said earlier, in the ability for music education to be an agent for social change. One of the mottos of El Sistema is to play and to fight. For music education, and being an agent of social change, he wanted to give every student the opportunity to have a music education, especially the ones that wouldn't have the means to do so otherwise. The students that would be more susceptible to falling into lives of crime and of drug abuse. And he wanted to give them a chance to experience beauty, enjoy music, and to accomplish something in a community of people. So two of the main components of El Sistema are accessibility and equity. Accessibility, they get to people by location as well as through financial means. So in terms of location, there is the main conservatory that is located in Caracas, which is the capital of Venezuela. But then there are different nucleos around Venezuela. And there are multiple in Caracas, and then there are at least one, there's at least one in each state in Venezuela, most of the time multiple. So traveling isn't an issue for students. And then it is a completely free program for students. Their instruments are paid for, and they get free instruction and all of that. It is completely, financial means are taken care of completely. So it's just another activity like baseball. So students can just decide to do orchestra. And one of the things that I got to do throughout my research was to talk with people that had connections with El Sistema. And one of my favorite conversations that I got to have was with Mr. Carlos Rubio. And he went through El Sistema himself as a young person. He, when he was about 8 or 9 years old, he joined El Sistema, and he grew up in Caracas, not in the main conservatory, but he was in one of the smaller nucleos at the beginning, Nucleo La Rinconada. And so now he lives in the United States. He is a professor at Westchester University. He's a violinist, and he plays in the Dali Quartet, and has had a wonderful playing career. When he was at El Sistema, he started in some of the youth orchestras, so when he was little. But then when he was at 17 years old, he auditioned into the top group at the main conservatory in Caracas, called the Simon Bolivar Youth Orchestra, and that is their flagship ensemble. And so he got to travel the world. He played in Japan, the United States, Europe, all over, and he had the opportunity to also record 7 CDs. So these, he also got to play with master conductors and work with some really big names. And so he got some experiences as a young person that most people would not get. So another cool thing that he got to do while in El Sistema, he got to travel around about every other weekend, and he was a teacher in some of the different states in Venezuela. And so he would leave at around 4 in the morning and travel to a state and then get to this place and teach privately as well as in sectionals, because El Sistema is an after school program, but also happens every day of the week, so Saturday and Sunday as well. So they have sectionals. So for about 3 hours, they'll work with just the first violins. And then the next 3 hours, it'll be all of the strings. And then from 7 to 10, it would be a full ensemble rehearsal. And so he got to travel as a teacher, which was a really cool opportunity that he got as when he was a part of that top orchestra. And they were playing from the regular canon of orchestral repertoire. So big symphonies like Mahler, Bruckner, Brahms, Tchaikovsky, Shostakovich, and then also lots of Latin American music as well. Some of the important aspects of El Sistema, not only the accessibility and community, but also a tradition of excellence. They focused on smart repetition. They went line by line, phrase by phrase, in meticulous practice to get really good results. And that was something that they would not sacrifice. So it was a high level of excellence and high level of expectation. There was healthy competition between the peers. I enjoyed getting to hear about that from Mr. Rubio. And he was just, he had lots to say about the community and about that being a very important aspect of El Sistema, as well as getting as many students in the room as possible. So there would be 18 to 22 first violins, and then same with second violins, 16 cellos, 12 violas. As you saw in that video, there were so many students up on that stage. So El Sistema became a world phenomenon after its launch in Venezuela. There are many El Sistema inspired programs all over. There are a number in Canada. There are over 80 in the United States, Portugal, all over. And that is a really cool thing. Obviously, based off of their location in the world, it has to look different. You wouldn't be able to drop your kid off at 2:30 after school and leave them somewhere at 10 like they could in Venezuela. So the way that the philosophy of El Sistema is lived out, it looks different, but it's taking the same principles of community and music acting as an agent of social change. I would like to talk a little bit about the ELCA accompaniment model because I think it is extremely relevant to this type of work because it is really seeking the needs of others, getting to know the community and listening to what their needs are, not projecting what you believe their needs to be, and having bigger ears. And I think that is an important aspect to this work because what El Sistema is doing is really focusing on empowering students' voices. And being able to listen to them in that way is something that is extremely important and I think really follows the model of accompaniment really well. So I already talked a little bit about the celebrations of El Sistema, the accessibility of location and financial needs being taken care of, as well as the community. So I was searching for these actionable items as I was doing my research. So fostering that community is one of those actionable items in my future classroom. So obviously creating that culture, and that's something that I'll walk into a place and there will already be community there, but that will be my job to continue fostering. And I want to make it a good experience for my students so that that's something that's very magnetizing. Students want to be a part of community. But I think it also extends beyond just getting to know your students, but also getting to know the wider community. Who are the people that aren't in the room and why aren't they there? And I think getting to know them will help you to understand their needs and why they're not there, and help you to make sure that your program truly is a place for everyone, because most all music educators believe in music's power. It is a really great tool for empowerment for students, and we want everyone to have that experience and have the opportunity to have that experience. And we love to say that music education truly is for all. And I think in order to truly live that out, we need to get to know the people that aren't traditionally a part of music education and why they aren't there, and take away the barriers, so that they can just have the opportunity to experience it if they so choose. And I think to close in my research with El Sistema, I wanted to talk a little bit about my a book that I read when I was a freshman here at Concordia in my inquiry class, and it was on interfaith studies. And the book was Tattoos on the Heart, and talks about Father Gregory Boyle and his work with Homeboys Industries in Los Angeles. And Homeboys Industries works with gang members that are stepping out of their lives there and are working towards becoming a part of the greater society. And he has taken that and made that his ministry. He's taken what he believes his calling to be, and is searching. And he went to people who don't have voices in the traditional sense of society. They are people that are often overlooked. They're not invited to the table, and their needs are not being met. And he's doing the work of that many people would love to just pass over. But he believes that to be really important to him. And I think that's really important, because even if you're not going out to be a music educator, you can look to the people that society overlooks, invite them to the table, see what their needs are, and serve them as best as you can. And I really wanted to focus on that in my research, because that is something that just kept coming back to me. You don't have to be a music educator, an educator. You don't have to be a minister. You can find that way in any path that you choose to go in life. And I think that's an extremely important idea. So that was a bit about my research that I've gotten to do the past few months. So thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, please join me for my Q&A, which will begin shortly. Otherwise, you can email me at my email here. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your day.